The Climate, Environment and Psychology Division of PsySSA aims to foreground issues of mental health, psychology and behavior change in relation to the climate change crisis and environmental degradation worldwide. Our guest this morning is Dr. Lynn Hendricks from Stellenbosch University. Lynn is an award-winning researcher and practitioner interested in inclusive health research and participatory methodologies, and has an increasing focus on the environment in her work. Lynn is a research psychologist by training and holds a joint PhD from KU Leuven in Belgium and Stellenbosch University right here in South Africa. Lynn, of course, was also instrumental in setting up the Climate, Environment and Psychology Division in PsySSA. A warm welcome, Lynn, and it's great to have you on the podcast series. You're known for many things, actually, but the thing that really stands out for me is your focus on methodology, and particularly inclusive methodologies and participatory methods, and I'd say arts-based methods. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that in your own work, but also why you think it's important in the field of climate and environmental psychology?
Yeah. I think issues like climate psychology cannot be understood from an individual's perspective. I mean, the world is huge, the planet is huge, and I'm just like a really smaller than a grain of sand. So it really takes multiple grains of sand and different types of rocks and different types of water to make sense of what we are experiencing. I'm very passionate about participatory methods. I don't at all see myself as an expert. I have so much to learn. I learn more every day. But in an issue like climate change and the environment and the influence it has on people, we need multiple perspectives to understand behavior change. Like I know myself best, others know themselves best. And when we are all experts coming together around the table, that's when we can truly understand how we make a group effort to make group changes. But that's not always so easy. Like in theory, bringing people around the table sounds all nice and great, but there are different issues that come up when you do that, like power dynamics, language barriers, intellectual barriers, conceptual barriers, even barriers that are logistic, like people going to work, time availability. You know, it's just there's so many factors to consider. So the area of participatory research is about the different methods, but it's also about what are the barriers and the facilitators of implementing these methods and what they mean for the end product. And then further to that, if you think about how policies are formulated. So I worked in government for a while, and the way that I saw people use information that's in the public domain was very insightful. It wasn't about how many publications you have. It was about how is this information presented so that it can be consumed in the policy arena, and who said it. If there's no public engagement, policymakers don't want to engage with what you are producing. It can be the best research, but they want to know what people are saying, because if they implement policies without public engagement, they are in big trouble. So on multiple levels, you know, this participatory methods is very important.
And it's very important also because you have been an advocate for meaningful inclusion. It's not just about having people around the table and saying I've engaged or I've asked people their opinion, but you've really incorporated your participants into your work, right? And in one of the things that I was particularly inspired by was the short film you made based on your research, where you almost co-produced the short film, but also what the participants were saying in there was co-produced, wasn't just from you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, if that is, I think that's my seminal work. It will forever be my seminal work. My non-academic publication is this documentary that evolved. So I knew from the outset that I wanted to do this documentary. I had no experience making film, but I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I wanted this to be my end product. Because the participants I was working with, I knew that publications wasn't going to be enough to satisfy their feeling of I made something. So documentary and an art exhibition was what I was aiming to do.
Yeah.
And in this documentary, we basically we started with a photo voice. So we never started with we're making a movie. We started with, can you take photos, 5 photos that describe your adherence to your medication? And so then we introduced the concept of photo taking, we discussed the pictures, and we had the voice recordings to match those. We then, in the next few months, we said, now we want you to make short little clips, you know, of how you walk to the clinic, how you travel, maybe of your room. And after that, we then introduced us going to their houses with them, with cameras, and them telling us, you know, what to record. But they've had an introduction to the filmmaking already. And then we had a weekend, so the Eco Weekend I'm talking about, where we basically showed them a 10-minute trailer. And we were all in tears. Everyone was crying. It was a cry fest. About our 10-minute trailer. Because it's the first time they saw themselves and stories outside of themselves. You know, dealing with a really vulnerable issue of being HIV positive and showing it to the rest of the group. Who had never seen each other's stories before. It was very powerful. But then we moved to, we set up a green room on this weekend where anyone could go at any time, and there would be questions posted on the window behind the camera for them to respond to. And they would self-record, like whoever went at any time. And at the end of the day, I would just download all the footage. And on the final day, we interviewed, I interviewed them about their experiences, and they interviewed me. So I would go sit in front of the camera, and then they would ask me questions about the study. But that's exactly how we started the study. In our first interview, I interviewed them, and I turned the tape recorder around, and they interviewed me. And they could ask me anything, whether it be about relationships or children or boyfriends or whatever they wanted to know. But we ended and we began the study like that. And up until the last moment, we all made decisions about what was in or out. So there was never a point where I made a decision, this is what the movie looks like. So for me, it was a very powerful process. I don't know if I would easily do it again. It takes a lot of commitment. It was a 2-year project. There is a second documentary that is in production, which is interviews we did with stakeholders who watched the video. So parents, caregivers, boyfriends, policymakers, academics. So that should be out soon. And that one is less co-produced. That is more researcher-driven, because that has a different agenda. That's about recommendations for enabling environments.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And we'll try and make the link to the documentary available to the listeners and viewers. Lynn, I mean, you've won a Nature Award for inclusive health research. I don't know of anyone else who's won such a prestigious award. So firstly, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And secondly, what was that like?
I didn't believe it at first, Brendan. I actually deleted it. I thought it was spam. To be honest, because you get these spam journal requests and speaker at conference. So I just spammed. And then the next week I got another email that said the link is live with the announcement of the winners. I was like, oh, what? So then I clicked on the link and I saw my photo and I was like, okay, this is weird. I haven't even published in Nature before. I mean, I thought that was only for, big sciencey people.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, it was actually real. It was a whirlwind, actually. So we went to Brazil for the Nature Awards. And I must say, it was life-changing, actually. If I think back, I couldn't be present and take it all in because I was submitting my thesis, at the same time. But it was really life-changing. I met all the editors of BMC, of Springer Nature. I've been to their office in the UK. I've touched the actual a nature journal from my birthday month and year. Like
Yeah.
it's just, but this award basically celebrates research that includes participants in the making and the doing of the project, and you receive a stipend as an award. And so with that stipend, I've gone back to the clinics where I worked in Wallace Dean and Bishop Lavis, and we are starting 2 small-scale projects to make the clinic a bit better. And then following that, I'm hosting with Springer Nature the next award ceremony at Stellenbosch in October. So again, all the editors will come, and I'll get to show them the clinic where the project took place. So very exciting. It's literally changed my trajectory in terms of eye-opening experiences to what these journals are like at the back end.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Like, I don't know. I'm really thankful because that was nominated by the community members.
Wow. That makes it so powerful too.
So it was very emotional for me, knowing that they believe in the project as much as I do.
Yeah. That's amazing, Lynn. Congrats again.
Thanks.
Lynn, what would you say are your top 3 tips or lessons for anyone interested in climate and environmental psychology?
I've really, so the work of CEPD has really brought in young people and youth and key activist groups in a way that I don't see in other spaces. So I've been involved with writing research grants with other lecturers and other researchers in climate. And I keep telling them, there are young people doing lots of things. Don't say they're not there. It's just that you can't see them because they're not in your circles. Like open up your visions to other spaces. And if you are looking for the youth, then you need to look on the platforms that they connect with, not the platforms that you are on. So include youth and young people.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, which I think our division does really well in terms of the youth agenda. The second one is always be open to new ways of knowing. So we really get stuck in, one of my pet peeves is when people quote all these theories from back in the day and they try to make it relevant in a world that doesn't exist anymore. Don't be afraid to break those theories open, to add new pieces and create new conceptualizations, test new theories and new ways of knowing, because that's the only way we're going to move forward. The world we're living now is not the same as 500 years ago. And I think there's lots of room for new perspectives and learning that can still be done. And I think the last thing for me is that don't be afraid to dream about future methods or future things to try. And a lot of that, I think when I was in Europe with my research group, like they are unafraid to try new ways of doing things and giving names to new methods and testing it out. And I feel in our context, we are still so cautious about trying out something new because we're always trying to match to the gold standard.
Yes.
But there is no gold standard when it comes to methodology. The point of methodology is how do we access the sample in the most respectful way to get the most accurate data? And so be open to try new things and reporting those failures and reporting the successes, I think, are very important.
Yeah. And on your last point, thanks, Lynn. There's often this frustration of being stuck by what you said is the gold standard, and this is the way we've been taught. This is the right and wrong way of doing research, and it really does hamper creativity, right? And the development of new methodologies that could be locally relevant and contextually appropriate, given what we do in climate and environmental psychology. So I really appreciate, thank you, Lynn. Those 3 points I'll certainly take on board too. What's next for you, Dr. Lynn Hendricks?
I want to make a TV show.
That's fabulous. On what?
I can't tell you yet. I'm writing my proposal.
Okay.
But so I actually saw a call for Cape Town TV. They are looking for proposals for new TV shows. So I thought that might be interesting.
Oh, lovely.
But yeah, I will rope you in when it's not in the public domain, Brendan. I will hit them with a bang. But yeah, so for me, it's just about getting my lab off the ground. Like, it's something I've really wanted to do for a long time. And this lab, I now have 4 people working with me to really advance the agenda of inclusive health research and what that looks like in teaching and learning and research and assessment. So it is brand new. I'm going to be trying, writing the welcome grant, the beast. I'm going to just attack it to try and fund this program. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to be focusing on, more work around the environment and what it means. And how we also include the environment as an active agent, I guess, in research is something that I haven't yet, written about. It's been on my mind, but probably need to get it down on paper at some point.
That's wonderful. We are waiting with bated breath, Lynn, for what's coming next. Lynn, thank you so much for your time and for your wonderful insights. Congratulations on all your achievements, and we wish you everything of the best going forward with your work. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan. Have a good one. And thanks to everyone. All the best and good luck for all your future work. Thanks, Brendan. Bye-bye.